but the internet, I mean, in the 80s and 90s and stuff, it was more prominent in Hollywood, and you didn't see it in the general public as much. It was going on, but it was more private. What's happening now is you're seeing with social media and stuff, and then people actually going in and telling their stories, or actually putting it out there that they've had BBL and stuff. It's become more socially accepted, and so that's what you're seeing now. So women will come on out and say, hey, I had my butt did, I had my breast did, I had, and it's an accepted thing now. It was taboo to talk about it. You knew somebody had some work did back in the day, but you couldn't tell what they did because they wouldn't tell you. So.
Yeah. Only thing I would say, ladies, if you're gonna do BBLs, make sure you have the legs to support whatever you purchase. Because nothing's worse than 2 basketball supported by 2 straw legs.
It's the pursuit of perfection.
We good?
Yeah.
What up, JT? So if you have the BBL mental issue, so can we say that the BDL is also a mental issue? This is just a quick pivot.
What is that?
The guys who getting their parts.
No, that's an LGBTQ.
Ocho said he did.
Ocho?
Ocho. Oh, you weren't here that day. Oh, you weren't here that day, huh? Ocho said he was in a woman and doing his thing, and she said go deeper, and he said that's it.
Got a BDR.
So he said he went and got him a BDL, I guess what they call it. So
nobody cut
is that would that be considered mental health too? Then
Obviously, because he ain't needed, because he already had the girl.
yeah.
Had past tense. I don't.
He getting women for him is never. I'm sure wasn't the issue. Dude been rich a long time, but I'm just saying. If we're saying the women that have mental issues, do we go back to say that if a man does that, he also has a mental issue?
Yes, most definitely. If you take dude change anything on his body for that, that's like your psyche ain't right. If it don't fit, find what it does.
God, dog. I'm trying to find where we at, Dwayne. We good on here? I don't know if I got any. Never mind, I found it. All right, we good. We lost some. What up, Teasy? Hope everybody can come back and find us here. We lost most of them here. But, I just curious if it's the same. Do we have the same outlook, whether that's considered mental as well?
Yes, that's considered mental as well, in my opinion.
Okay.
Roll with what God gave.
Huh?
Roll with what God gave.
I don't know, man. I think it's when you say roll what God gave you, I think everybody makes. I don't think they should make no major surgery change. I agree with that part. But like I said, I understand some of them do it for the jobs. I don't care for it.
For your job.
If you work in a strip club,
that's
the job.
That's a job, but that's not a job. You're gonna change something that's gonna alter your whole life. And what happens when you're no longer strip pullable?
Shoot.
Too big.
They go to one of the other strip clubs.
Monterey.
They go to one of them other ones.
Just rock with what God gave you. That's why I look at it.
I get it. But again, I don't know. I think it's more self-esteem than I think it is mental. You know what I mean? But I said on several podcasts before, I just don't want to attribute everything as a mental issue. Sometimes folk just have a lack of self-esteem.
A lot of that's turned into mental issues brought on by your environment. If you're in an environment where everybody's worshiping large asses, and you're female, and you in the hood, and everybody overweight and fat with them big asses, and you got a slim fine body, you're not gonna.
But that's
get the same
always been the
looks.
way it is. We can go back. Look at all your '70s movies. What do they have? You know, they were always. It's always been a
Pam
body.
Grier.
It's always been
Yeah, but
it's always been a body thing.
Pam
though.
Grier was like
I'm just saying, you know, like I
precursor
know,
for making a style.
the woman like that has always been.
Yeah, but that's
Kinda
like
looked at.
now, like that is nice, but when it goes to the point it's like that and it's on two stilts.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen. I think some of it is okay. I consent. I do. There are some I think might be mental. You know what I mean? Based on, I guess, what we know mental is now. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Based on what we know mental is now, but I still think there's some version of self-esteem or lack thereof, you know, that has affected the mental. And it's not just, you know, you hate to use the word crazy, but crazy. It ain't that. It's another. It's, you know what I mean.
Little milder.
It's other versions of mental, I guess. What we've learned over the years of all different stuff that we.
See, JT, you should have been here. You know about all that. You'd have been dead on point.
You know about. JT asked the same question: is low self-esteem considered a mental issue? That's what I was asking. Is
I
low
think
self-esteem considered a mental
I think
issue?
it can be if you let it go to extremes.
I don't
It's
know.
like white people with the anorexia and all that stuff, or bulimia. You know, it's the same thing. But our bulimia, it's packing in the ass, you know, getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, this is one of those conversations that, you know, I would love to get a female opinion on.
Giselle or Black Barbie.
You know, because I
Come
think
on out.
that or a woman, especially a woman who had one or knows someone person that's
Come
had
on, they
one.
ain't gonna come
Like what
on, show me your
what
list.
about one of your old girlfriends that had one? I'm sure you had one. Come on. I said old girlfriend. I didn't say current. I said old girlfriend.
I've seen a few, and I'll just say they're not natural. They don't feel natural. They don't move natural. And I've actually seen them where they didn't sit right. And so my point is, from a distance, just like you,
Yeah.
I don't like them. I'll be honest with you. I don't like them.
Now, have you seen some that you be like, oh, that's impressive?
That's how I got to see one. Because I was impressed. But after they take the clothes off, you're not impressed because you can visibly see that it's not real.
Really?
Yeah, it ain't nice at all.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like open up, your parents give you this big ass box, you tear open, it's a pair of socks.
so do
That's
y'all
kinda
think that you can tell the BBL from the natural? Can you still
hell
tell the differences?
Oh, naked? Yes, hell yes.
Only naked though.
No, well, even not naked, because like I said, a lot of women's legs don't support the ass they're carrying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a giveaway. One thing you'll notice with them too, if you watch the way they walk, it's not like a natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got something sticking on your back, and it's like I said, I was thoroughly disappointed.
Thoroughly disappointed.
Thoroughly disappointed. Not what I thought.
Y'all think y'all can tell the difference still? Yes, you can. Only
I can look and
Yeah, you
in
typically-
in clothing.
Well, she had to put a nice job because she went to Columbia to get hers. The girl I knew.
In Columbia?
And so she had.
That was top notch then, huh?
Yeah, it was top notch, but it looked good in the jeans. Because even when lowrider was on, you saw the top half of the ass. It looked real. I mean, posterior, it looked real, but it wasn't. No, when the clothes is off, it just thoroughly disappointing.
Will said MJ is correct. Yes, you can tell. Low self-esteem is a mental issue. It falls under the health umbrella like depression and anxiety. Okay. All right. Then that's what it is then. You're right. That's what it is. And if it falls under that same spectrum, then yeah, that's what it is. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. How much time we got, Dwayne, before we pivot? I don't want to talk about BBL no more.
Let's talk about what's the next subject.
Huh?
What's the next subject?
So we're just gonna pivot to one.
Let's talk about them Eagles. Well, damn. What can we say about them?
Y'all losing a lot of people. That ain't gonna matter.
Don't worry about it.
You don't believe it?
Don't worry about it. It'll be still good. But since we talked about the Eagles, we know how great they're going to be next year. Let's talk about the Steelers. Who's going to be that quarterback? Do you guys have a quarterback?
So let's talk about the Eagles. Then just go away from the Eagles. We're gonna be just fine. We don't have a quarterback currently. We're gonna go between Rodgers. Russell.
He said he's spoken into existence.
Well, I pray it's not Rodgers. I'll say that much. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I said before the show, I would have liked to had him 2 years ago prior to him going to the Jets. I think now he's damaged goods. He's officially damaged goods now. I think he still could be effective, especially with our offense and the fact that we just got DK Metcalf. We're now tend to be reckoned with. I do hate that we lost Najee Harris, but I knew we were going to lose him. He's going to be really good with the Chargers. I think that's going to be I thought he'd go to San Francisco. I think he'd be more effective there, but I think he'll do really well with the Chargers. Harbaugh's going to know how is going to use them correctly. It makes us now have to go get a running back. I don't know if that kid from Boise State's going to be available.
Nah, not that long.
I don't. But looking at the mock drafts, there's a good chance. But there's a couple other backs out there.
I think somebody will come up and get him. That boy's legit.
Yeah, he's legit. Vic, he started with the Eagles. That was him. Vic said never been with a woman with a BBL. Will said once them clothes come off, it's automatic. But yeah, man, I think we're gonna be just fine. I hate we lost Justin Fields.
That's what
I really was hoping that we could have kept Justin for 2 years. I hate he only had that 1 year on the contract. It lets me see that nobody still sees him as a franchise quarterback because he was only offered a 2-year contract. You don't offer a guy 2 years if you think he's your franchise.
Yeah.
It's
like testing the waters.
That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing, testing the waters, see what you got. You know what I mean? If you don't have nothing, you don't have nothing. So, I think it's going to be interesting. But speaking of fathers and kids getting the slack from their fathers, what about the fact of Deion Sanders and the fact that Shiloh wasn't even invited to the combine? Was that because it wasn't warranted, he didn't deserve it, or because who his father is? And then, did we talk about this last week about the fact they talked about Deion? Or that was on the football podcast? Oh, so the fact that they talked about Deion Shador, the way they talked about Shador, in terms of saying that he had a bad attitude, he was cocky, he was arrogant, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're really trying to dog the kid out. Now, is that due to Shador or due to the father?
I think Shador. I mean, Deion Sanders was always cocky and he backed it up. But it wasn't cocky in a nasty, arrogant sort of way. It was like, I'm the best, I'm gonna do this, is what I'm gonna do. And every time he said, this is what I'm gonna do, he actually went out there and did it. Shador, he's not my cup of tea, but I think he's a great quarterback, and I think he's going to do great in the NFL. But I think he should, I guess.
But do you think he was arrogant?
I think so, yeah.
Why?
I can say this. Deion Sanders can talk about himself for 2 hours, and you right there co-signing on everything he says. Mm-hmm. I think with Shador, his personality just isn't like Shiloh has a nicer personality to me. He talks a lot of shit, but to me, he say he's going to bring it. He brings it every game. He's going to be some team's safety because he brings the fun. Shador I think it's unfair because I think a lot of people projecting their dislike of Deion onto his son. So I think he's getting a lot of flack, and his dad pushes him so hard, but anybody's dad should push him. But I think he's made it, so I think holding him out. My son ain't the NFL player. Deion knows what he's doing. I know Shador is going to be good. I think some teams, because of their fan base, won't go after him. Like Tennessee needs him, but they're not going to go after him.
So let's say this: you're there. You're at one of these position meetings, and Peyton Manning walks in coming out of Tennessee. Didn't win the Heisman because he lost to Charles Woodson. People forget that. And Peyton says to you in that interview room, the team that drafts me drafts a franchise player that's going to change your franchise. I've done it at every level. Do you call him arrogant as he walks out the room?
No.
So that's what Shedeur Sanders said. That's what he said. I've done this at every level, and I'm going to change your franchise. And they called him arrogant for that same statement.
I think it's just.
Now that's what he called. But that's why they called him arrogant.
No, I'm not saying they're right, but I'm just saying this. They're just two totally different. It's like Deion does it, and it's Deion. But Shedeur Sanders, I think he has the skills to be. If I had to pick one, I'm picking him over Cam. But you don't have to like somebody's mouth for them to be your franchise quarterback, because I know the Steelers could really use him this year, but they're not gonna get him.
No, we're not gonna get him. But my point is just saying that fact that you said you thought he was arrogant, and I'm saying to you, the reason that they called him arrogant was because he went into a room.
Arrogant. That's the wrong way to put it.
But he went into a room with confidence of saying, "I did this in high
that's
school.
What you're talking about. I didn't know that's
I
what
went to
you're referring
Jackson State, and we turned this franchise program around. I went to the University of Colorado. We immediately turned this program around.
I know what I'm
and now
trying
I
to
can go to your organization and I can help turn y'all around." That's all he said.
Okay, I'm not
and
talking
they said
about
he was
that.
arrogant.
I have
leaving
no
it.
issue with him saying that.
No.
Okay, let me say it. This is what I think I dislike about him. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's the best quarterback in draft. But this is what I think about him. It's like if you actually hear him on his podcast or see him in any other setting, and he's actually talking about stuff, very, very sharp man, young man. What I think I should say this, it's like it doesn't. Shiloh Pitts would fit that personality more than he does. To me, that's a better way to put it. Not arrogant. He comes across as like he's trying to be his father in every way, and that's that's flattering. I know Deion loves it, but I think I like his regular personality when you hear him talking sports, X's and O's. I like the fact when mid-season they compared him to, I don't compare myself to Lamar, that they were trying to compare him to Lamar. And he says, no, I'm nothing like Lamar. He said, if you're going to compare me to somebody, I think he named Brady and some other quarterback, white quarterback. And some people got upset with that. No, what he was basically saying, my skill level is just that. I'm a straight drop back passer. He inherited none of his daddy's athletic ability, running wise. So, that's a kid I like to see. When he's on the mic and he's talking football, I don't like when he's trying to be Deion, because there's only one Deion Sanders. And Deion excelled. I remember when he signed with the Falcons. Everybody was lining up. Whatever time have you seen somebody run out and get a DB's jersey the way everybody did? So, it's two different things, but I think that's what I should have said. Not arrogant, but it's almost like he's trying to match his daddy's. You can't even call it antics, because Deion Sanders was just being who he is.
I think I don't see. I didn't see what you're saying. I don't see what he's trying to be anything but Shedeur, and Shedeur has been that way. What you see here, I used to watch the show back in the day when they were all kids. When they were living in Texas. You know what I mean? And remember Shedeur?
High school football. Yeah.
Shedeur didn't want to play football no more. Deion told him as he was 10 years old, son, you have the potential to be great at this sport. You know what I mean? He was like, I just want to do music. He was done. He was like, I don't want to do this junk no more. You know what I mean? But Deion saw something in this kid way back then. And then I think it's hard for us to relate to what it's like to be the son of a dude like Deion Sanders. You know what I mean? You grew up in the shadow of a guy that's so exuberant in everything he does, that's so flashy, you know what I mean? How do you not have some of that in you when that's what you grew up, that's all you've been around? You know what I mean? So him being flashy and wearing jewelry, this is what you. This is what
you. I'm not talking I'm talking about.
I know what you're not. I'm saying, but this is how people see it.
They don't understand that. They don't understand that part of it. But it's just like if you were if you were a cop and your son wanted to be a cop and excel at being a cop. I'm not talking about that part of it. I just think he's a very intelligent young man. Mm-hmm. And to me, he doesn't come across like Deion did. You never even said Deion, because you know when they first started saying Deion's cocky, and pretty soon everybody was drinking Deion Kool-Aid. When he did that thing and, would fly and go to play baseball, and he went, and other than Bo Jackson, nobody's ever even came close to doing what Deion Sanders does. And I think it creates this big shadow, and unlike Bronny, who's having a hard time getting out of the shadow, I think Shedeur is actually out of his dad's shadow if he allows it to happen. So I just think when you hear him talk on his show and you hear him talk X's and O's, he doesn't come across that way. But as soon as he gets in a limelight situation, he morphs into this character. And I don't think Deion was a character. That was just who Deion was. Deion was
100% a character.
But he got inside. There's never been a deep back. Okay, if you remember what he did to Rice, some of the best wide receivers ever, Deion straight shut him down or made him like a number 2 receiver for that game. That's what they paid for. That's why everybody wanted Deion. Right. There's been very few that have even approached his level. So,
well, see, again, that's one of the situations where I won't even try to even compare the two. I'm just saying I think he's getting a bad rap because of who his father is. That's what I'm trying to compare as opposed to who he is. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's arrogant. He's confident. And why would you want a quarterback? Who would draft a quarterback number one that's not confident? You know what I mean? The kid said, "This is what I've done."
New York Giants did.
This is what I've done. You know what I mean? And that's what he did. JT said Primetime did what them folks did not think he would do. Wanted at every level that they did not expect. They definitely didn't expect it. Vic says confidence like his daddy. When Eli came into the league, his daddy said he's not playing for someone. People applauded him for wanting better for his son. Yeah. There's very, very little conversation about it afterwards, too. You're right, JT. Always, daddy said the same thing. When it's darker, he amongst us is always an issue. That's number one fan. He's always been over the top, just like his dad. Man, I believe his father sometimes when our kids follow in our footsteps, especially with success of what we do. He comes across the same as Prime. Difference is we see it more because of social media. There was a Deion.
That's a mouthful.
There was a Deion and there was a Prime. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I said. He definitely more.
Who wrote that part?
Which part?
About it, social media, internet.
JT.
You're on point with that, JT. I think that is it. Because you see every single thing he does. Yeah, I can say that. Because you see everything he does. I'm like, God damn, dude, just talk X's and O's. Because I like he's got a high football IQ.
Extremely high.
Very high. So I think hands down, because I think Cam is going to be similar to the boy from Colts.
And I think Anthony Richardson.
And I think Jalen Daniels. That's why I see Shedeur being on that same level, because he's got the same type of accuracy. He doesn't have a deep ball arm, but he throws a nice deep ball. He doesn't have a power arm, but that boy puts it in the window. So that's why I think
Shedeur is extremely accurate, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think it'll be a Jaden Daniels. They're two totally. Jaden Daniels has still had that run pass element. Shedeur is a straight drop back passer.
I mean, as far as just having a splash as a rookie, I think
that's gonna be.
Make a splash.
There you go. You just said what I was about to say. That's 100% based on who drafts him and whether or not that offensive coordinator does what's best for him. And I think that's what so many people fail to do is that they try to make you fit their system. I talked about this earlier today. As much as I don't like the Ravens, the one credit I have to give to the Ravens is that when they drafted Lamar Jackson, they created an offense for him.
They went all
and keep in mind, he didn't start initially. Flacco was still the starter. Flacco got hurt. When they brought Lamar in, they completely revamped their offense for him.
And drafted.
That's what you do for a quarterback like that.
That's what they do for other quarterbacks. They just don't typically do for black quarterbacks.
That's the difference between why Justin Fields is struggled the way he struggled, because you have to take a quarterback like that and you got to fine tune him based on his
Shackle
skill
into the
set.
system. Yeah.
Based on his skill set, not what you think, but what his skill set is, and that's what they did for Lamar. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, that's what you do for Jay now. That's what you do for Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? That's what you do for these guys. And you hate to say that for a black quarterback, but
that's why I think Shedeur is a better choice between the two, because Shedeur can go to any team in the league but Baltimore and excel, because he's not a running quarterback any way, shape, or form.
No, absolutely not.
I think Peyton Manning might beat him in the 40.
I just get a bad rep in Dr. DeFore's class because Low came in late in class. There you go. He gonna always get one in. The system he's in absolutely matters. No one talks about Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. Yeah, I mean those two greats that
That's probably the closest.
that don't get the proper credit. They were both bad boys, and they got a chance to play with it, and they got a chance to play with each other.
One of the greatest ever, Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, Ken Griffey Jr. was a.
But I honestly think
he was different. He
because
was different.
of the position, I think Shedeur could very easily pass his dad. If he goes to a team,
pass his dad.
As far as
what?
Watch. I really think if you watch, I watch every Colorado game.
He said the quarterback gets the door.
Yeah, the quarterback. I think he could easily do it, because being a quarterback, he's going to get more looks than Deion ever got.
Here's why you can't.
Deion had to be put in the position to be great. Shedeur can make his, and he's done it all. Dude, he didn't have a line and still got the yards. He didn't even have a line.
Here's why he can't ever surpass his dad. Hear me clearly. This is why. Because Deion Sanders revolutionized the cornerback position. There's never been a player like Deion Sanders in the history of the football game, ever. So Shedeur is not going to be able to revolutionize a position.
Well,
you know what I mean? Only person to be in that position, Patrick Mahomes. He would have to do Patrick Mahomes style.
But that's what. But see,
you got to revolutionize a game.
Put a tab on this. I see him doing that because if you look at his style of play, he's very similar to Patrick Mahomes. He slips and slides right to left. He don't think the only way that joker runs is the same time Peyton Manning did when the safety went with a wide receiver and it's a whole lane. That boy can't run the same as life. Right. But as far as arms, he got he's gonna sling.
Kid is talented. I'm just saying that statement I think is a bold statement. Yeah.
Watch. Deion, I'm not talking about a quick move. I'm saying that when he wins 2 or 3 Super Bowls, he's going to be spoken in the same sense.
He's not.
Watch. I'm not talking about a football
Deion
purist.
Sanders is one of one.
I'm not saying,
you understand that, right?
I'm not saying
he's one of one.
A football purist. I'm not saying as a cornerback. He's considered the greatest ever. There's nobody even approaching.
That's what I said, JT.
Cornerback.
One of one. He's a standard.
What I'm saying, as far as him making a mark, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in this league.
I definitely want him to make a mark for himself. I definitely want him to stand out on his own. I definitely think he has the ability to do that. But you just made a statement he'll be better than his dad. I'm just saying. First of all, I think it's an unfair statement to even make, and he doesn't have to try to do that. Just become a top 10 quarterback all time, and that's all you need to be. You know what I mean? Become a top 10 quarterback.
Because you got to
win more than one Super Bowl.
Every level he's been at. When he got to Colorado, he went from and a lot of that was coaching. But you're talking about he had the physical skills when given the tools to excel without an offensive line. How many times did he sack? 80-something times the first year, second year, 50 or 60-something times? And now he's going to an NFL franchise that's going to be able to protect him. Buddy going to put up the numbers.
Facts. Hey, come here, Spence. I want to ask you a question on camera real quick for my first topic, man. I'm glad you walked to the door. We running over, but I just want to get this conversation real quick, Dwayne. I want to go back to the first topic real quick. Yeah, we'll skip that this week. Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James. Give me your opinion. That was our first topic of the day, man. I want to get your opinion. I want another opinion on it.
man, Stephen A. should have slapped the shit out that nigga, man. I mean, I can't speak from the point of having a child, so I don't know how that goes. But
Okay.
when your son averages 3 points for a career, I mean, in every level, from church league, high school, college, all the way up, and then you tweet, then you get on Twitter and say, man, I'm watching these cats in the NBA. My son better than half of these niggas, high key. And then we say your son isn't after we've seen him play. After this is the first 55th pick to ever get a $4 million guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
Sometimes niggas got shit to say. Now I understand Stephen A. Smith doesn't do the regular sports commentating that he used to do, but it's a hot topic era that we're in entertainment. 100%. Your son, because of how sorry he is the hottest topic in sports.
I tried to be nice.
How dare us not talk about him? What the fuck what else is there to talk about? You? We've been talking about you for 30 years.
Right.
This is fresh. This is hot tea. This is nigga on the Lakers averaging 2. Nigga on the Lakers averaging 2. We got to speak on it.
Right.
And his last name James. We ain't never seen a nigga last name James average 2 in the league. This shit has to be talked about. So yeah, I did 10-minute segment. And see, that's the crazy part because LeBron, if he mad at Stephen A, he'll hate me because I got on my podcast and said he like that little retarded kid who been a water boy his whole him high school career. Then they let him get a layup at the end at the last senior game, and the whole crowd go crazy. Like both teams like yeah. It'd be like a kid with one arm or some shit like that. They roll his wheelchair out. It'd be like 30 seconds left, and it take like the whole 30 seconds for him to get the layup. You know they keep missing. Then the other team be like they'll give it to him, and then if it's a real small kid, they'll pick him up and put him close to the goal and let him put it in. Like that's what we got with Bronny James right now. So glad LeBron ain't hear that because he'd have fucked me up. Since he walking up on Stephen A for saying the nigga just sorry, I went way past that. I say he's incompetent. Is the nigga retarded? I'm asking real quick. Can he read? Does he know left or right? I'm asking shit like that. So
Classic Konversations does not agree with the use of the word retarded to describe Bronny James.
So that's my opinion on Bronny James.
I appreciate that, man. I figured you had one.
Oh yeah, just drop it in. Just drop it in. Appreciate y'all for having me. Appreciate y'all. Yes, sir.
Hey, man, that's Spencer Neal, man. What's the name of your podcast?
Next to ball.
Next to ball, man. And that's what he gives you the whole show. So if you love that 2 minutes, just imagine the whole 40 minutes of that. An hour of it. Hey, he gives it to you raw and uncut, man. Both football and basketball. Oh man, hilarious. Appreciate you, brother.
He's on point with that description too.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh my god.
Hey man, we over our time, man. But we know JT, like I said, he was chimed in on here. He'll be back next week, I assume, based on what TP got him doing out there at the studios.
He done got big time, man. I asked him to pass me a napkin, and he signed it before he
signed it before he passed it to you?
Yeah.
Pretty Ricky, what we call him.
Well deserved. That Joker been putting in the work on the play circuit and everything else. He put in the work. Well deserved.
Absolutely, man. And y'all see we started late and ran over, man. That lets you know our producers aren't here tonight. So Phoenix, I'm sure she's watching, and
I tried to keep under control.
She's gonna let us know about our sales next week. But you know those saying when the cat's away.
That mice will play.
We played a little bit. We sorry, but I was late. Like I said, my son's birthday tonight, so I was late tonight. But you know,
he was late.
I was here. I did show up.
Not before me, but you showed up.
But I didn't show up. That's all. I was pointing out. Yeah, this week, I did show up. Last week, this seat was. Who was in the seat last week? Oh, the Guru. And who was in the seat the week before that? But anyway, Classic Konversation with JTLO.
And that's the cop.
We out, you dig?